Every holiday season, we tell ourselves, I'm not going to wait until the last minute to go Christmas shopping. Yeah, well, how'd that work out? If you're short on time and still searching for the perfect present, my friends at 1-800-Flowers.com can still have your arrangement delivered in time for Christmas. Right now, when you order the beautifully handcrafted holiday flower tree, you get 20% off. That's a hand-designed 1-800-Flowers holiday flower tree, 20% off. The holiday flower tree is elegantly designed with fragrant greenery, roses, mini carnations, and a merry red bow on top, making it truly a one-of-a-kind gift. Perfect for spreading joy in your own home or in the homes of your friends and family just in time for Christmas. 1-800-Flowers works with premier farms around the world to ensure you get the best flowers available for the best price possible. 20% off the gorgeous 1-800-Flowers holiday flower tree is an amazing offer, but you gotta hurry. Offer ends Friday. When it comes to meaningful holiday moments, trust in the quality bouquets of 1-800-Flowers.com. To get the gorgeous holiday flower tree for 20% off, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/wingo. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/wingo. Hurry, the offer ends Friday.
With the Citi Double Cash Card, you get 1% cash back when you buy and 1% as you pay. That's like the joy of discovering the last donut.
Ooh.
And it has your name on it, literally, in chocolate sprinkly things.
No way.
Double the love with the Citi Double Cash Card. Apply now at Citi.com/doublecash.
5 days. 5 days away. Is that Eartha Kitt? Is that the Eartha Kitt version of that? Nicely done. That song has been done a million times.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
That's a very good
That's
one.
done very well right there.
Very, very
yes,
done
it is.
well. Glad you're with us.
Yes.
Very, very done well, as I just said. Still waiting. I miss Junior's energy.
Yes.
Welcome in Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Jon Gruden will join us in just a little bit. But here's what's trending right now. Trae Young, again, kid out of Oklahoma. They're calling him the next a young Steph Curry.
Young Steph
right?
Curry, yeah, Steph Curry.
That's a pretty good.
It's a great comparison, though. Steph Curry right now on the shelf. Another week, he'll be reevaluated, not playing in the Christmas game against the Cavaliers. But Trae Young, what a night for him! 26 points, 22 assists. That he ties the Division I record. D1 history. Again, assists just started keeping track in 83, 84, but three others he's tied with. But his 26 points makes him the first 20-point, 20 assist in a game in the last 20 years. So that's a pretty good night. That's in the zone a little bit.
It is a very good night.
Yeah.
Trae was so good last night. We will put him in the zone, which is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Plus, we have our first holiday poll of the day. Again, we've been trying to do these as we get set for Christmas coming up on Monday. What would you rather have to do? Have to go caroling every Friday in the month of December.
Okay, every Friday in December.
Friday, you got to go out and go
caroling. Okay.
Or have the car antlers on your car the entire month of December.
Oh, the car antlers.
You would do the car antlers?
No. Okay. A good friend of ours, she worked compliance at Notre Dame. Now she's at UCLA, Jen Vining-Smith, hates them. Anytime we see them, we take a picture of them and we send them to her. And we always encourage other people to send them to her as well. I'm not a big fan of I am a monster fan of the holidays. I have my Santa shirt on again today.
You're 3 for 3 this week.
Says secure the bag. You have to have the bag of toys to have a great Christmas for the kids. But I am not a car antler guy. I like to sing, so I would take myself a hot chocolate with a little bit of, something in it.
A little warming fluid.
And I would be caroling every Friday without question. I would be doing that.
All right, well, just so you know, right now, as we're looking at the poll, it is the car antlers winning big.
Winning big on this one. I wonder if it's people just don't like to sing, or the fact that they have to go out every Friday and do that. You go out with a group of people and you go caroling, man. You don't see that anymore. The things that I grew up with, you'd have carolers out. You know what else you'd have when it was winter time? This isn't has anything to do with Christmas, but neighborhood kids that would come over and say they'll shovel your driveway for a few bucks.
Extra bucks,
You don't see that anymore. I miss that kind of stuff because I was one of those kids, man. I'd go out, shovel driveways for money. We'd go out caroling and raise money for different charities, or at times keep the money and buy stuff.
At times.
In the real Christmas spirit.
Air quotes, at times.
At times. I would do caroling in a heartbeat. But do
you have a go-to Christmas carol? Is there one that you?
No, I mean,
celebrate the entire collection,
the entire
like the guys
catalog.
in Office Space?
Absolutely, the entire catalog. I can go anywhere.
You want to rip something off right now?
Listen, I did it with Straight No Chasers when they came on the show.
Did you really?
Oh yeah. I sang with them, and let me tell you, when you're singing and the people backing you up are a group like that, Straight No Chasers, it makes you sound really, really good.
Well, at that point, you could really just whisper or lip sync.
But I didn't. I ended up standing up. I mean, I got it. Oh, yeah. It was a lot of fun.
I think if you do that, you run the danger of being the one that doesn't sound good, and you can be spotted very easily.
But when I do that, I don't care because I'm normally drunk, so it doesn't matter.
Well, now I have to ask, were you drunk when you did it with Straight No Chaser on the show?
No,
I just want to make sure. I wanted to be clear.
Not as far as you know.
Okay, so, yeah, you think he's whatever it is in that bottle. We had to get that bottle tested as we go through.
This will be a good one. I hope it comes back to caroling a little bit. Right now, as you mentioned, Car Antlers has 62%.
Among the leaves so green.
38% is caroling. I would definitely go caroling.
All right, well, we'll say it's
what would you do? You got to choose. You're so horrible at these things.
Right.
Just choose one. Yesterday would you rather have the gaudy decorations on your house or not one decoration on your house? And what does Trey say? Well, I like a few. Well, that's not an option.
It's always an option.
No, it's not.
Everyone wants to paint the world in black and white when the world is essentially gray.
With a poll, okay? You give choices. You have to pick one.
How about we give choices? Why does it have to be two choices?
Because
why can't it be three choices?
That's what Allie did. Choose one and choose it now.
All right, I think I would do the car antlers.
You would?
Yeah. Every Friday?
Every Friday
would be a little much for me. I do it a couple of times.
It's 4 times.
Yeah, that's too much.
All right.
It's too much work.
Okay.
It's just too much. I think I just stick the car antlers on the car
and be done with it.
Done with it.
All right.
As you can tell, I'm about as little effort as possible.
You really are.
Yeah, just so you know. Unless I'm trying to lower my handicap. Okay, hey, it was a big Monday night for our next guest, Jon Gruden, who calls Monday Night Football games for us, but of course in a different life, a Super Bowl winning coach for the Tampa Bay Bucks, inducted into the Ring of Honor at halftime of the Falcons' win over the Bucks. Here's a little bit of what he had to say during the ceremony.
The thing I love about football the most is it's the ultimate team game. And this is the greatest individual honor that I've ever had in my life. I was traded to Tampa Bay in 2002 in the middle of the night. And I'd like to thank the Glazer family for making that trade. Finally, tonight, I'd like to thank the players that laid it on the line for me. I know you had to deal with me, and that was tough. But it was tough dealing with you guys, too. Really tough. I miss you.
That was Jon on Monday
great.
night, fired up. And look, we both agree with Jon. We think football is the ultimate team sport. That's one of the things we love about it so much. And we are delighted to be joined now 5 days away from Christmas on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line by Jon Gruden, taking synthetic motor oil performances to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Jon, first and foremost, thanks for being with us. Congratulations. I love the fact that you wore the visor.
Yeah.
You had the visor on during the halftime. Obviously, it meant a lot to you. What was going through your mind as that was happening?
I was just really excited. I was down on the field reuniting with so many players that have impacted me, not only the players I coached, but players my dad coached that really brought me up in football, Doug Williams and Jimmy Giles, Scott Brantley. And just to be in that stadium and with the fans again was really cool. And seeing the Atlanta Falcons, who were our arch rivals all those years, was a dramatic night for me, but thanks a lot, guys. It was a great evening for our family, and I'm proud to be associated with the Buccaneers. I thank the Glazer family a lot.
It was very, very cool to see, and you running the play. What was it, the first touchdown of the Super Bowl? Is that what the play was?
Yeah, it was 14 blasts, Mike. We hand the ball to Mike Allstott, the first touchdown in Super Bowl history for the Buccaneers, and we just reenacted that play. The fans love Allstott, and the place was going crazy. It was pretty cool.
Let me tell you, the best thing about that is the fact that you hear plays called today. 14 blast is a joy to hear because it's a very easy play to call and not, the Y2 banana and all that kind of thing.
Well, that's the case. Did you give any thought to doing Spider 2Y banana? I mean, that would have been the ultimate, right?
Well, we thought about it. We thought about throwing it to Warren Sapp, but Warren's had enough accolades. We wanted to get some offensive guys involved and let Mike Allstott take it home. And Gene Deckerhoff, the play-by-play guy for the Buccaneers, has a great call that he made over the years, Allstott up the gut. It's kind of famous down here in Tampa, so we let Gene Deckerhoff announce the call. It was awesome.
That's cool.
That was great. It was a lot of fun to watch, and congratulations again. So one of the things, Jon, that was an ancillary effect of the Monday night game when the Falcons beat the Bucks, but it was by that win by Atlanta that the Packers were eliminated from the postseason, and then of course the news came down yesterday that they have put Aaron Rodgers on IR. Was that the right call in your opinion?
I don't know the extent of his injury, honestly. Obviously, if he's injured, they're concerned about him. Perhaps it is the right call, but when I go see the Rolling Stones, I'm paying to see Mick Jagger. When I see Aerosmith, I want to see Steve Tyler up there. When I go see the Green Bay Packers, I'm buying my ticket to see Aaron Rodgers play. So that's how I feel. I feel we're getting paid to play, but if he is injured, look, that takes priority. But I like to see guys play and finish, no matter what the circumstances are. I know they'd like to be in the playoffs, but I think running to the finish line with all you have is one of the great accomplishments in a man's life. But hopefully he's okay. If he is injured, I understand completely.
Fans certainly would want to see him, and any player worth his salt is going to say, I want to play. And even Mike McCarthy said Aaron's going to be mad about it. But this is a situation where I don't think you can ask the player, because every player is going to say, no matter what, I want to play. And they took that out of his hand. So he's done for the season. In the game you did, Atlanta gets the win over Tampa Bay, and certainly a close game where Murray misses the 54-yarder. Time's running out to possibly send it into overtime. Falcons now, last two games against New Orleans, against Carolina, can still win the division by winning both of those games. Are you seeing enough good things from them like last year when they made that run, or is that offense still worrying you a little bit?
The thing that really popped at me, Mike, is their running game is as good or better than it was last year. They've run for, I think, 500 yards in their last three games. And they've done it with and without Coleman, who had missed a game and a half with that concussion. But Devontae Freeman is for real. He is awesome. They ran the ball with authority the last 3 weeks. I still think the pass offense is, for some reason, I don't know if it needs an oil change or what, but they drop a pass, they miss a throw, they don't get a blitz pickup. They're not on all cylinders, and I have a high expectation for this Falcon offense. I love the quarterback. I think they have all the arsenal they need, one of the premier receivers in football, perfect complementary players, guys like Mohamed Sanu and Austin Hooper, a young emerging tight end. But I think they're going to have to score more and finish drives better to get to the Super Bowl and win it.
Jon Gruden with us, our ESPN Monday Night Football analyst. And, John, you alluded to that during the broadcast. I mean, there were times where, Julio Jones was a non-factor in that game. And, you see games where he goes off. And didn't he have 259 receiving yards against the Bucs last time he played him?
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's really not part of it. Can you explain in any way why that offense, which was so prolific and so dynamic, both running and receiving a year ago when they made it to the Super Bowl, that they haven't just had that consistency this year, especially in the passing game?
Well, you look for change. I know they have a new left guard playing. Levitre's out for a couple of weeks. They have a new right guard this season because Chris Chester retired. But other than that, they have almost continuity everywhere. And everybody's looking to Steve Sarkisian as the reason why they aren't clicking on all cylinders. But if you do a study and see how many passes the Falcons have dropped, it would surprise you. They've dropped too many passes. They haven't made the routine plays, I think, that are there to be made. I think they've left a lot of offense out there on the field. I do believe that they're playing a tougher schedule. And Golic will tell you, when you light the NFL up and you win the NFC Championship and you average almost 35 points a game, you become an off-season project for everybody. I would go in and I would steal half of their plays. And if you're playing the Falcons, you study the Falcons day in, day out, figure out how to stop them. So I think people spend a lot of time researching how to stop Atlanta. They're playing a tougher schedule, and they're not making some of the routine plays that I'm accustomed to seeing.
Completely agree. You do that well one year, very difficult to repeat it the next year. We're talking with Jon Gruden on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Again, former head coach in the NFL with the Raiders, won the Super Bowl with the Bucs in 2002 and was inducted Monday night into the Bucs Ring of Honor. Absolutely fantastic ceremony. I've been asking all our football people this, John, going forward with the Eagles. Now, again, Nick Foles has had plenty of starts, and he played extremely well in this last game, but he's got to carry this team as far as they're going to go because Carson Wentz is not coming back. Do you have more concern with how he will be, if he can be that consistent through the rest of this run, or more concern right now with how their defense is playing?
Well, right now I'm a little bit surprised with how their defense is playing. Their defense had been playing outstanding football early in the season. They've given up way too many points, too many passing yards, and too many open receivers here in the last 2 weeks. The Rams, the Giants, they've moved the ball up and down the field. I don't understand why that is. I'm getting ready to dig into the tape, but That's a bigger concern to me. I think Philadelphia, if they continue to win, they're going to have to do it with a very good opportunistic defense, and they're going to have to play better, obviously, around Nick Foles because he is a new quarterback, but he's very capable. He's put a lot of good tape out there, and Doug Peterson, Frank Reich have done an excellent job keeping defenses off balance with their balanced attack. They can run it and throw it.
Well, yeah, that's the interesting thing about the Eagles. Nick Foles basically did what Carson Wentz did every week on average in that game. I mean, he had 4 touchdown passes. Wentz averaged 2.5. Their completion percentages were about the same, Foles versus Wentz, and the yardage was about the same, and the conversion rate on third down was almost identical, 46% for Foles against the Giants, 45% for Wentz on the season. That's the second of the 2 games on Christmas Day. It'll be the final Monday night game of the year, Eagles against the Raiders. But John, the first game is the Steelers taking on the Texans. And that was an epic showdown that we saw Sunday at Heinz Field between the Patriots and the Steelers. But I can't help but notice that the Steelers, whether it's Ben Roethlisberger one day or Mike Tomlin now saying the catch rule needs to be addressed, John, they're still talking about this game Sunday. They can't do anything about that game. If they want to make sure they get a first-round bye and get at least the 2 seed in the AFC, they've got to worry about the remaining 2 games on the schedule. And it's kind of a stark contrast in how the Steelers are handling the end of that game as to how, say, Bill Belichick would have handled that game. You know, he had the famous "we're on to Cincinnati" rant after the Kansas City loss on Monday night in 2014, and that sort of got them in the right mindset to go back and go ahead and eventually win Super Bowl 49. Are you concerned that the Steelers are still dwelling on what was and not focusing on what will be?
Not really. I don't know that Mike Tomlin's still talking about it today. I think sometimes you make a comment or two a day after the game, and sometimes us in the media, we continue to play the same soundbite over and over. I think the drama of that game was the end of game. Was it a catch? Is it a catch? What's the process of a catch? What happened on the very last play of the game? What a way to lose a game and lose Antonio Brown. So there's a lot of, I think, crazy feelings swirling in the minds of Mike Tomlin and certainly Ben Roethlisberger. You hate to lose a game like that, and it's going to take you a day or so to get over it, but I'm sure they're going to take a look at what's ahead on the schedule, what they're able to accomplish here in the future must be exciting. So let's move on, but I think they'll do that.
Okay, so do we need to move on from the catch rule then? Because I think we can all agree it was the proper application of a rule that's come under a lot of scrutiny. And again, when you were coaching for a lot of your years, this was not the rule. It was a different rule. Do you like the catch rule as it's presently in the rule book?
I'll tell you what I like. I like letting the officials on the field call the game like we used to in 1969 or 1970. Take the microphones off the officials. We don't need to know who made the tackle or who was involved in the penalty. I don't know if it's a penalty, if it's a fine, if it's a suspension. I don't know if it's a catch 2 feet in. Did he complete the process? I mean, there was a game Sunday night. Is it a first down?
Yeah.
Do you replay it? Do you review it? Where do you spot the ball? Do you use an index card to figure out if it's a penalty or a first down? I don't know. There's a lot of confusing rules. I know we're trying to get everything right, but I learned a long time ago. The more you try to make everything right, the more you get it wrong. The more rules you have, the more rules you have to enforce, the more confusing it gets. That's my opinion. I'm glad right now that I get to go back to my work and I don't have to talk much more.
You know, it's a pretty good opinion to go back a little bit, and because you're right, every rule that you make, you're putting a little more pressure on the people calling it to try and enforce the rules. And along those lines, now this is something a coach would have to deal with. We saw the Thomas Davis hit on Adams and the suspension that went and the crackback. And again, rules have changed from the crackback block and some of the hits that are going on, hits above the neck and all that. And we understand the rule change for the safety. Forgetting all that, I'm not asking you about those rules. What I'm asking you as a coach, especially in today's game when nobody is practicing full tilt and nobody is putting pads on anymore and hitting, how do you, because we have players right now who are crossing over into this new era of football. Some of them played in the old style when all that stuff was legal. How do you coach the players now to say, I know this was legal a few years ago, guys. It's not legal now. We really can't work on it on the practice field anymore. How do you get it into their heads about some of the changes in the hitting rules?
Well, it goes back to spring practice, training camp. You have to have officials come in and explain the emphasis. You have to have coaches, position coaches, enforce the emphasis, then the coordinator, then the head coach. The players have to police themselves. That's a big part of this. And education is a big part also. You got to show videos over and over again. Like Al Davis taught me when I was coaching the Raiders, you have to cover reading, writing, and arithmetic. You just can't install plays. You just can't go out and call plays. You got to talk about, hey, let's review goal line, what we're going to do in 2 minutes. Hey, let's take a look at player safety. Let's take a look at illegal hits from last week. Let's look at pass interference. Let's understand that every day we have to make some application of player safety and what the rules are. We got to continue to remind players. But I do think a lot of penalties that I'm seeing are being enforced with this super slow motion, this instant replay that we look at. I don't think you can officiate the game using that real ultra super slow motion camera. I don't think it's realistic.
John, I think you're right. I think it's very unfair to the officials and the players. I go back to the hit Kiko Alonso put on Joe Flacco in that Thursday night game. You know, they showed it in slow-mo 100 different times, and it looks awful in slow motion. But then after the NFL reviewed the play, he was flagged for it, obviously. You're going to get the flag there. Right. But he was not fined. He was not suspended because by the rule, Joe Flacco slid late, and in real time, there's nothing else Kiko could have done. That's why he wasn't suspended, and he wasn't fined for that play.
That's right. And, you know, when you watch, is it pass interference? Is it not pass interference? A lot of times when you look at it at that super duper slow motion, I mean, it always looks like pass interference. But when you look at a replay, I think we should have to look at it more often than not at real speed, just to give a true picture of what happened on the play.
All right, John, we appreciate you being with us. We're looking forward to the conclusion of the Monday night schedule this week, Raiders and Eagles. And once again, congratulations on a really, really big honor for you going into the Bucs Ring of Honor. I know I'll be talking to you throughout next year as we get forward and looking forward to the draft in April. Have a great, great Christmas and a great holiday, John. Appreciate you.
Thanks, John.
You too, guys. Merry Christmas to everybody.
You got it, buddy. Jon Gruden with us here. It was great. Did you see some of the cleats that some of the Bucs wore? Chucky?
Oh, yeah.
Some of the cleats?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what a team that they had.
Spider 2Y Banana would have been
Holy
a good
smokes,
cleat,
yeah.
That
really defense
fun.
that they had was incredible.
They were really, really good. All right, coming up, a big day for one of the biggest names in college football. Plus, can one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL keep this winning streak alive?
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Rolling on, Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. A honky-tonk Christmas, it feels like. Presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And, of course, we've been putting out these Christmas tweets all week long.
Yes, we are.
On Golic and Wingo, and the poll questions are up. One of them was, when do you shut it down for the holidays or pretend like you're working when you're actually not working? Another one was, what would you rather do, car antlers on your car the entire month of December or caroling every Friday?
Yeah, right now, when you shut it down, we gave you December 1st, Thanksgiving, December 20th, I power through. 40% say December 20th right now. Second at 35% is I power through, which is both good and bad.
Gives me hope for America.
I applaud those people, and I'm not one of them. Would you rather go caroling every Friday in December or drive with those antlers in your car for the entire month. Right now, our car antlers is running away with it. 64%.
I think it's just a lack of effort.
I think it is too. You'd have to actually go out every Friday in December and go caroling, which I would love to do. I would.
You would do it
that.
every Friday.
Yeah, it's not like it's 1,000 Fridays. It's 4 Fridays.
I get it, but still, it's every Friday in December.
Yeah, and actually, really only 3.
It's actually 5 Fridays this month.
Well, wait, but it would be 4 because I'm not doing it the Friday after Christmas.
No, it's at every month. We said every Friday in December.
Oh, well, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, thank you. See, there it is.
No, I'm still caroling. I'm absolutely caroling, but we'll see if that one gets any closer or not.
All right. By the way, we talked about Gino Auriemma and Sylvia Hatchell. Both 1,000 wins on the same day. We'll get into that a little later.
Yes, we will.
The odds of this, astronomical.
Yeah, it really is. We got some pretty cool things there.
We'll get into that a little later, but it is time, ladies and gentlemen, now for
Over, Under, with Golic and Wingo.
All right, little over under. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, let's start.
Over.
Okay.
Oh,
thank you.
Sorry.
Let me give you the question first.
Okay.
But I think you may be right here. Over under 2.5 teams from the NFC South to make the playoffs.
I'm trying to figure out a way to go under with that, but I think I am going to go over. Right now you sit there, you have the 3 in right now. The Lions sitting at 8-6.
As are the Cowboys.
As are the Cowboys. So the winner of the Seahawks-Cowboys will still only have 6 losses. The Lions have 6 losses. Panthers and Saints have 4. Falcons have 5. So if the Falcons get the 6 losses, they beat the Lions this year.
Right. On that crazy play.
Yeah.
But if you're the Lions, if you think about it, that was the 10-second runoff where they called Golden Tate in for a touchdown.
Right.
With under 10 seconds to play. They reviewed it. They saw that he didn't get in, and the 10-second runoff meant the game is over. So the Lions were actually penalized because the call was wrong on the field to begin with.
Yep. You're right. That's amazing if that were to be the play that would come back, to haunt there as well. The Cowboys, if they end up tied with Atlanta, the Cowboys lost to Atlanta as well. So Atlanta holding the head-to-head there as well. And so and Atlanta beat Seattle as well. So of all the teams they could tie with, they beat them head-to-head. So I am going to say over. I'm going to say the 3 teams in the NFC South make it.
I think we had 3 teams from the AFC North a couple of years ago make it. I'm not sure if it was 2011, 2012, or 2013, but the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Steelers all made it. I'm going to go over as well because I think, look, too many things have to go wrong for so many other teams where the tiebreaker is against them.
Right.
That I think it's much more likely we'll get 3 from the NFC South as opposed to 2. Okay, how about this? 6.5 wins consecutively for Jimmy Garoppolo as a starting quarterback. Right now, he is 5 straight wins as a starting quarterback, 2 with the Patriots in 2016, and 3 straight as a starter for the San Francisco 49ers. Their remaining schedule, Jags at Rams.
Yeah, there are no chance. No chance. Jacksonville, that's one's at home, and then they go to Los Angeles, obviously staying on the West Coast, to play the Rams. We'll see what the Rams are playing for at that point, where they are. They're going to be definitely, if they're trying to play for home or wherever they're going to be, I think they're going to be playing this game for real and not sitting people. I think they have a good chance they lose both those games. Yeah. So I absolutely go under on that. I don't think he's going to win any more this year.
I'll go under just because of the teams they're playing.
Oh, exactly.
And to your point, we don't know what the Rams might be playing for in that final week. By the way, in sort of a weird way, he's the first quarterback to win his first 5 NFL starts since Ben Roethlisberger. Now, we have to caveat that, A, Jimmy's not a rookie, and B, it's over 2 seasons. Ben, I believe, won 13 straight that year. It was a ridiculous number as a rookie. Was it 15? Was it 15? Wow, was that many?
Had that great running game and great defense to help him out. Remember, they were like, you don't need to throw too much, Ben. We got other ways to win. And now, Ben's hoisting it 60 times a game.
Well, that was he came in for touchdown Tommy Maddox that year. And I think it was Alan Faneca who said at that time, man, I'm not sure how we're going to win with this rookie.
Yeah.
Well, you ripped off 15 straight.
He's doing pretty well.
They actually had home field advantage that year for the AFC Championship game against the Patriots, and the Patriots went in there and beat them. Deion Branch had a big game in the AFC Championship game that year. Over Under brought to you by Amazon Music Unlimited. For a limited time only, sign up today and receive 3 months for 99 cents at amazon.com/music unlimited. It was 13 in that season.
Right.
They were telling me. All right. So it was 15 total because they didn't lose until they lost in the playoffs, but 13 over 2 seasons, 15 over 2 seasons, 13 straight. I thought it was 13 straight because I think they went 15-1 won that year 14-2. It was some ridiculous.
It's already
number.
out of my mind.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, make it easy.
And that's the key to survival.
That's it.
Think about it and get rid of it and go.
Kind of like in school. Once you take a test and once you get your grade, anything it's gone.
That would mean it's like the draft. I know everything about every player for the draft, and then 2 weeks later, what was that guy?
Who was that? Where did he go?
What was his name?
Yeah.
Didn't he have a story?
Yeah.
Wasn't there something? He didn't have a third brother twice removed
Don't
from
care.
a cousin's side. It just all goes.
Yeah, it's gone.
All right, this one's interesting. What was the deal Lane Kiffin signed?
10-year extension.
Yeah. We're giving him 1.5 years remaining at Florida Atlantic.
Over under 1.5 years. I think it'll be over. I think it'll be a couple of more years. There's no chance on God's green earth. That deal is still 2027, so it's a 10-year deal that he's there until then. So I would say I'll go over. I think it'll be at least 2 years. He says he's building something there, but he can only go so far, and he knows that there. They had a great year. Won last night in the
a Cheribundi Tart Cherry Juice Boca Raton Bowl.
50-3 over Akron, and they were favored by like 22.5 in that game. He plays a wild game. He plays a play every like 15 seconds.
Went
He's onside
for
kicking.
it when he was how old?
Goes for it on for two. Goes for it on fourth down just about all the time. So it's pretty wild. One other quick college note we can get into in a little bit. This is the first year they're doing an early signing period. Normally it's the first Wednesday in February, but today it started just 38 minutes ago Eastern time, 7 o'clock Eastern time, where players could actually sign between Wednesday and Friday of this week is the early signing period for whatever you did that first Wednesday in February. You can do right now. You can sign with a team. This is the first time they're doing it, so we'll see what effect it could have on players, who teams and players actually want to commit right now to that signing period.
Yeah, and they'll still have the other signing period in February.
Still
but
that
again,
one as well.
It used to be this was just sort of an oral commitment time now.
It's all it is now is this oral. Are you going to come? We want you. Okay, I'll come there. And then you could change it in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
So this is an actual signing period, 2-day signing period before the one in February.
All right, let's move on and over-under. I think this one is really interesting. 100 yards on the ground for Ezekiel Elliott Sunday in his first game back from a 6-game suspension.
Well, I mean, you look at what the Rams just did against
what Todd Gurley
Seattle
and
Todd Gurley did. So, and Dallas, we know about that offensive line. Maybe not playing as well as they did last year, but again, 3 Pro Bowlers in Smith and Fredericks and Martin. So I think it'll be over. I think it'll go over 100 yards. Got fresh. Let's be honest. He has fresh legs, right?
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Says he's lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he'll go over. Now, he predicted 200 yards.
Okay, well, D.D. Westbrook said 200 receiving yards in his first game for the Jags. He came up like 170 yards short.
Yeah, Eric Dickerson, who was in Cabo helping Zeke train, said you're not going to get 200 yards, and they have a little bit of a wager on this having to do with jerseys. I don't think he's going to do that, but I do think he'll go for more than 100 yards.
Well, he's averaged 98 yards per game in 8 games this season, and he has 4 games over 400, including 3 of his last 4. So he was rolling right at the time the suspension hit. He will have fresh legs. I think I'm going to take the over as well.
Yeah.
Just because of who they're playing. Seattle looks like a team that is just, they're beat down.
Right.
They got too many issues with injuries and the little fighting going on with Earl Thomas and Bobby Wagner. Don't talk about my injury. There's a lot going on there. Okay, how about this one? This is actually a good one. 7 a.m., the time you'll wake up in the morning after you retire. Kobe says he still wakes up at 4 a.m. every day to work out. Does he want to do this show then?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Come to this show? Because I'll do. I tell you what, Kobe, if you want to work that hard, come on in, baby. Golic's a great guy, good-looking dude. We'll let you talk as much as you want. You might like this. Maybe we'll just switch it up for a little bit.
It's week 4, man. Week 4. You're in week.
I love you though.
4.
I love you though.
Listen. I would love to, if my body will let me sleep in till 7 a.m., and I can do that on the weekend, I will sleep in till 7 a.m. I'll be interested to see how long that lasts for Kobe.
Yeah.
Getting up at 4, working out until you're getting up at 4, you hit snooze. Now you're getting up a little later to where, you're not getting up at 4 anymore. You're not even setting the alarm for 4 anymore, and you are getting up at 7. It'll happen. It's just a matter of when, but I would love to sleep till 7 o'clock when I'm done with this.
Let me put it this way. At some point, the Ricky Waters syndrome hits in. Ricky Waters was the running back that went from San Francisco after winning a Super Bowl to the Eagles. They lost the first game of the year, I think 40-8 or some ridiculous number. Late in the game, they were playing the Bucks, and there was a pass over the middle that he easily could have caught. He short-armed it, alligator-armed it to avoid the hit, and he got grilled about it after the game, and he looked in the microphone and said, that catch? For who? For what?
Yeah.
And at some point in retirement, Kobe's going to look at that 4 a.m. alarm and go, for who? For what? Snooze.
You can get a workout at 7 o'clock, just like you can get a workout at 4 o'clock.
Your day's pretty much wide
open.
open.
There you go.
Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Something really cool happened in college basketball last night, twice. But before we get into that, you had something cool happen to you last night.
It certainly has a connection to it. Rebecca Lobo and her husband, Steve Russian, fantastic writer.
One of the best of all time.
Fantastic writer. They do a podcast called Ball and Chain. Yeah. It's very cool, and they invited my wife, Chris, and I to their house to do the podcast with them. So we did it with them yesterday, went over there yesterday. Had a great time. Let me tell you the type of person Rebecca Lobo is obviously one of the great basketball players
she's
ever.
A very tall person.
Yes, she is. But also, then they have young kids, and when you go down in their basement, you see kids, their artwork, their stuff everywhere. The kids are the prominent thing in their life. You go like around the corner in the back of the basement, and that's where Rebecca's like trophies are. Yeah. You know, not like out front saying, look at me. It's like all her kid stuff, all their kid stuff is out. I thought that was a very cool thing.
Me too. I have all
your awards. Yeah. But very, very nice. We had a ball doing the podcast. But then the one thing I had tweeted before about Steve, because he had said I was talking about air filters one day on the air and changing them. And Steve said he didn't even know that you were supposed to do that. They've been in their house for years.
Oh my gosh.
Years. So afterward, I went over to the handler and pulled, and I tweeted it. My wife tweeted a picture and I tweeted it as well. We did a before and after of the filter. The airborne spores that had to be in that house, I saved them. Rebecca and Steve, I saved you and your children yesterday.
You did.
By changing that air filter. Gave Steve a quick how-to on it so he can take it from here on out. But it was a great day over their house. Very, very nice people. Enjoyed it.
They're the best. Real quick Russian story. You know, he used to work for Sports Illustrated, as did Tim Kirkchin at the time. Do you remember the game between the Pirates and the Braves, Game 7, 91 NL Championship game?
Yes.
Francisco Cabrera came off the bench and hit the go-ahead two-run single to put him in the World Series. Kirkchin was sitting next to Steve Russian at the time in that press box, and everyone's thinking this unbelievable story. This kid Cabrera came out of nowhere. He said within 2 seconds, Russian came up with the phrase "Abracabrera." And he said, that's how I knew how good this guy was.
Oh, that is
instantaneously,
good.
Abracabrera. Yeah. And that was what they went with.
Yeah, he was great. In fact, the podcast turned into Rebecca and my wife teaming up against Steve and I and just basically berating us at all times.
Well, that's good for everybody. Yeah. Okay, so again, Sylvia Hatchell and Gino Auriemma both got their 1,000th win today.
Right.
Or yesterday. We tried to calculate that. It's so rare that we couldn't find any odds that would actually say the odds are 1 in blah, blah, blah.
Right.
To actually do that. So here's a list of things that are more likely to have happened to you than have two coaches have their 1,000th win happen on the same day. You ready?
Yeah.
How about this? Winning the Oscar. Winning the Oscar is 1 in 11.5 million, or 2 last year because it went to La La Land, then Moonlight. So for best,
right.
For
winning
best
an
picture.
Oscar. Right. I'm with you there.
And Oscar. 1 in 11.5 million.
And same with 11.5 million is something that may happen to me when me and my daughter go diving with the sharks. Getting bitten by a shark is 1 in 11.5 million.
Stay in the cage, Mike.
Yeah.
Stay in the cage. Mm-hmm. I don't want the show to be And Wingo.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Welcome another morning of And Wingo.
Yeah.
That would be terrible.
I'm with you.
Stay in the cage.
Do you think becoming president of the United States is more likely to happen than winning an Oscar or getting bit by a shark? It's 1 in 10 million.
Right. How about this? Winning an Olympic gold in the 100 meters, 1 in 900 million.
1 in
that
9?
might be slightly lower now that Usain Bolt is retired.
Wow. Yeah, that's true.
Just like 1 in 899 million.
I love this one. Finding a 4-leaf clover is 1 in 10,000.
Okay. Then when you get a 4-leaf clover, you're supposed to be lucky, right?
Yeah, you would think.
Well, here's what I would do. If I found the 4-leaf clover, I would go buy the Powerball because winning Powerball was 1 in 292 million. And you want to talk about how fast you'd see a vapor trail of me leaving this studio?
Gone. Absolutely gone.
I wouldn't even say goodbye.
And then here we go. 1 in 10,000 being injured by a toilet.
I don't know how. You know who couldn't be injured by a toilet?
Who's that?
A former NBA player. And we'll talk about that when we continue. Plus, Lane Kiffin makes everything better for us. It's Golic and Wingo on a Wednesday.